The Boyboy West Coast, a guy who is best known for the "You Was at the Club" meme and one of the most viewed Genius verified videos back in 2019. His name crossed my mind a few days ago and got me wondering what happened to the man who became one of the biggest memes in the past 5 years. 28-year-old Manuel Ramirez is a Mexican-American out of Santa Barbara, California. Funnily enough, the only two artists to quote make it out of there were himself and Katy Perry.
I feel like there's not a whole lot of like musical success stories out of Santa Barbara.
Nah, yeah, not a lot of big people or big name artists have come out besides maybe Katy Perry.
Katy Perry's one?
Yeah, Katy Perry. Yeah, she went to Galita. She went to DP.
Whoa, that's pretty amazing. I didn't know that.
His early life involved being in and out of jail or boot camp from 13 to 19 as a result of him hanging around gang members, breaking curfew, and a few other minor misdemeanors.
As a teenager, I was usually like locked up on this holiday or something. Usually.
For real? You've been in and out of jail your whole life?
Nah, just throughout from 13 to 18, 19.
While he was out for arrest in California, Manuel would flee to Iowa and go to high school there.
Yeah, throughout my childhood and then my teen years when I was getting in trouble, I'd move out of state. My family would send me to different states for a little while to try to lay low.
Because he was seen as a fugitive in California, meaning they would have just locked him up. However, since he was in another part of the country, the police department didn't want to spend money transporting a kid back to his home state just to lock him up with the smallest of charges. Regarding his family life, it's said that Ramirez came from a broken home. His mum would be in and out of homeless shelters, and his father would be working in the Marines.
What were your parents like?
My parents? My parents were cool. My dad was he was a straight up Marine type fool.
What was your mom like?
My mom was she was kind of the motherly type. She was like a chola chick when she was a kid. So she grew up in that environment. So she always knew what was up.
His father would refuse to pick him up from juvenile camps to try and teach his son a lesson to stop getting locked up. It took 6 years, but as his teen years were coming to an end, the guy picked himself off the ground and learned the lesson.
Law and order, discipline kind of guy. He was a hard ass?
Yeah, he was like, I'd get locked up and it'd be my day to get released, and he wouldn't come pick me up. He was like one of those folks.
Really?
Yeah.
So he'd want to make you kind of tough it out?
Yeah, he was one of those.
Wow, interesting.
Some more background information on Boyboy. His first job would be as a cashier at one of his friends' places in California. He would work the front end of the store and would work here just for a bit of extra cash after getting out of jail for good.
I used to, it was cashiering.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Where at a grocery store?
Nah, my friend's, he had a dispensary, and I would just be the cashier guy.
Oh, shit. That's a very California thing.
Yeah, but I was
Legally.
I was just more I would just be at the front. I wasn't
The only other piece of information surrounding occupational careers before he went viral relates to Manuel being a bartender at a local casino in LA. After having these two jobs, Rodriguez would begin a music career. Before having any traction, he would post these songs on SoundCloud and somehow even managed to get a Tory Lane feature. However, it's speculated that Boyboy just used an old throwaway verse from Tory without him even being made aware of this. His first mixtape would release in 2018 called Playboy Gangsta, which included this Tory Lanez feature, as well as 9 other songs, none of which sounded anything relatively close to Bottoms Up, which released a year later. It would also be around this time that Boyboy joined an affiliation with Destructive Films on YouTube, a group that would promote low-key artists' music and work together to get their names out to a wider audience. The viral era comes next. The snippet of Bottoms Up was originally posted on Instagram to promote the song back in September 2018. And started going viral on TikTok less than a year later. Bearing in mind, the song hadn't even released at this point and wouldn't release for another year due to label restrictions and planning. The memes on Instagram mainly consisted of the Boyboy being edited into shows or something video game related, whereas on TikTok, people would be dressing up as him, painting on facial hair with a styrofoam cup and a hat, and copying his mannerisms in the Bottoms Up viral video. The exposure and viral status of Manuel from one video alone gained the attention of a few record labels and talent agencies.
Did you have a bidding war around you before you signed, or was it just...
a couple labels wanted to see me, RCA and then Republic, and then I flew out to New York to meet up with Asylum and a couple others.
Right. How long was that after that the snippet started to blow up? Was it almost immediate that people kind of recognized the talent and wanted to work with you?
It was pretty much they were all came on once it went viral, they all started hitting me up.
In particular, Republic, who he then signed with. Republic, if you don't know, have signed some huge artists in the industry like Drake, The Weeknd, Post Malone, and Taylor Swift, so the potential for Boyboy's career to take off even further was a definite possibility. Not only were record labels contacting him, Boyboy was receiving recognition from producers like Diplo and DJ Drama, as well as pop artists and other celebrities outside of the music industry.
Hanging with Diplo and
Yeah, he just brought me out last week in Vegas.
how was the reception?
The crowd was dope. I didn't go on stage till like almost 2 a.m.
Damn,
So
that's
I was
crazy.
on one side and then Drake was on the other side.
Are you hanging out with Blueface too? Y'all got something in the pipeline or?
Yeah, the label's been trying to work something out. He's always so busy and shit. He's everyone's trying to get a feature from him right now. Diplo's producing a track for me.
Since he was now part of a music label, Boyboy was told by Republic that he had potential collaborations with Ugly God, Pitbull, and other artists lined up for remixes of Bottoms Up or brand new projects. But after looking through the discographies of the people who were name dropped, there's not a single Boyboy feature or remix to be found, meaning they all either fell through or got scrapped. Once the full song finally released in 2019, the infamous Genius Verified video was birthed. At the time, this was one of, if not the most viewed verified video on the entire Genius YouTube channel, and it was from an artist who made it big through memes. Bearing in mind they also had videos with Doja Cat, Lil Nas X, YNW Melly, Juice WRLD, NLE Chopper, and a whole load of other big artists in the same year as the Boyboy's appearance. He seemed to keep getting bigger and bigger, predominantly in the content creation and meme community, with countless amounts of huge influencers reacting to his content, as well as being invited onto a few podcasts, which were giving him even more of a platform. However, just like every person behind a meme, the fame doesn't always last forever, and it definitely went from 100 to 0 very quickly for the Boyboy West Coast. After his fame died down pretty significantly, he went on to release 46 singles after Bottoms Up and one studio album called Anxiety and Depression. Unfortunately for him, none of these releases matched up to anywhere near the success of Bottoms Up, with his second most popular song, I Love Your Girl, having less than 5% of the total listens compared to Bottoms Up, and the rest of his releases struggling to break over 30k streams. Surprisingly though, his music videos on YouTube were gaining up to 500,000 plus views, but this got me thinking, why didn't these numbers transfer over onto all streaming platforms? For now, it looks like Boyboy has either decided to take a break or just stopped making music in general, since his last release was in December 2021. After doing a bit of digging, I found out that he experimented with doing cameos as a side hustle, but was charging around $100 per video request, which resulted in only 5 requests and 2 reviews over 2 years. Don't get me wrong, the videos were surprisingly wholesome, but definitely way too expensive. Looking through his social medias, Manuel was taking breaks from time to time, but still updating his followers with what the situation was. However, he suddenly stopped posting on everything at the back end of 2022 and hasn't returned since. This is where the true downfall of Manuel Rodriguez begins. While the Boyboy West Coast has been away from social media, there has been quite a significant amount of damaging evidence against him. This evidence is surrounding him purposely stealing cover art for his singles from international artists, harassing influencers because they didn't give him what he wanted, and there being claims that he was messaging underage girls. These 3 points may just explain his disappearance from social media and the music industry, since there's a high potential there could be legal action being taken from the victims or an ongoing investigation of his activity.